Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivakacharya Sotara Satashi Shimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananikoti Vaishnava Vindi Ki Jai. Namachar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Premsagaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasili Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Gita Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol, all glories assembled devotees, all glories assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glory to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga, glory Srila Prabhupada. Anyway, I printed out 23, so could somebody lead the chanting? Because I don't have it here. I have to read it from here. Somebody could lead the chanting for me. No, repeat. You say it, and then everybody else could read. Okay. So now somebody else could chant now. Read the. I can't read it. No. Mataji's.
Can you see that at all?
No, I can't see that.
This is. Let me see if I can make it.
This is the size. This is the size I use. Okay, I use this size right here. I need this size. Okay. Could somebody read the Satya Noi? Could you? Ya of those. Va. Anusaya. The body of the Lord. Saya creation. Asanya.
I can't get it bigger.
Okay. Ya. Sambhavaha. Here. Atmanaha. Living beings. Listen. Moksha. Also. Being situated. Unconditioned state.
Also explain how on earth, in the body of the Lord, living beings are created, and how the incidents appear in the world. Also, please explain how the unconditioned living entities exist. Purpose. The progressive devotee of the Lord must inquire from the bona fide spiritual master how living entities merge into the body of the Lord again. Come back at the time of creation. There are two kinds of living entities. There are the ever liberated, unconditioned living beings, as well as the ever conditioned living beings. Of the ever conditioned living beings, there are two divisions. They are the faithful and the infidels. For the faithful, there are again two divisions, namely the devotees and the mental speculators. The mental speculators desire to merge into the existence of the Lord or to become one with the Lord, whereas the devotees of the Lord desire to keep separate identities and constantly engage in the service of the Lord. The devotees who are not fully purified, as well as the empiric philosophers, become conditioned again during the next creation for further purification. Such conditioned souls become liberated by further progress of devotional service to the Lord. Maharaj Pariksit asked all these questions from the bona fide spiritual master in order to become fully equipped in the science of God.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Bastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharne Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Praschatya Deshatarne. So as mentioned in the purport, that Sukadeva Goswami asked these questions to his spiritual master. Pariksha Maharaj asked these questions to his spiritual master, Sukadeva Goswami. So this is the way to attain real knowledge, is to approach the authority. And what is knowledge? Knowledge means to know what is matter and what is spirit, and what is the controller of both. So Krishna, he is the greatest authority of knowledge. And this knowledge is passed down through the chain of the cyclic succession. In this way, one attains real knowledge. This is real knowledge that comes through the parampara, through the Vedic literature, and such knowledge is infallible. All other knowledge in this material world is simply fallible, simply defective with the four defects of the mundane world, of the mundane people, namely imperfect senses. One has imperfect senses, one has tendency to be illusioned, commit mistakes, and to cheat. Just like if we want to see something close, we cannot see it. Just like if you want to see your eyes, you cannot see your eyes. You cannot even see that which is closest to your eyelid. And the sun, you see the sun, but you don't see it as it actually is. You just see it as a small disk in the sky. So in this way, our senses are so imperfect. But by the mercy of the spiritual master, we are able to attain real knowledge. And therefore we pray to the spiritual master that I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and you have opened my eyes with a torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So the spiritual master is a representative of Krishna, and he is simply repeating Krishna's words. So he is non-different from Krishna. Therefore, the bona fide spiritual master is one who is 100% Krishna conscious. And it's not a matter of birth in a certain family. It's a matter of qualification. This is teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam, teachings of Lord Chaitanya. He himself took instruction from Ramananda Roy, who is considered a Sudra, but since he was elevated in Krishna consciousness, even though Lord Chaitanya was a sannyasi, he wanted to hear from him. So this is the actual, what matters is whether or not one is pure, whether one is Krishna consciousness. In this way, he could give real knowledge. So in order to attain factual knowledge, one has to approach one who is actually established in that knowledge. In order to become free, one has to be untied from one who is not tied up, one is not bound. So those who are defective, those who have the 4 defects in this material world, they are, to hear from them, it's not worth hearing from them. What they have to teach is simply a waste of time. So, of all types of sacrifice, the sacrifice of acquiring knowledge, this is the best sacrifice. This is the aim of sacrifice, the aim of yoga, the aim of philosophical discussions is to attain knowledge. Because by attaining knowledge, one can understand his real position and go back to home, back to Godhead. So the beginning of knowledge is to understand that I am not this body, that I am spirit, soul, and that my aim of life is to get out of this material entanglement. This is the aim of knowledge. And there's different types of knowledge, a transcendental knowledge, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Brahman is compared to the sunshine. Paramatma realization, the super soul in one's heart, is compared to understanding the surface of the sun. But Bhagavan realization is understanding of the Supreme Lord in all his, Bhagavan is compared to knowing the inner affairs within the sun. So this Bhagavan realization, or realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the topmost realization. And Bhagavan is one who possesses 6 opulences, namely wealth, beauty, strength, fame, renunciation, and knowledge. So this is Bhagavan, one who possesses all these things completely. So Krishna, he is Bhagavan. He's the fountainhead of everything, of Brahman and Paramatma. And this is the ultimate realization, is to understand him by engaging in devotional service. This is the topmost platform of knowledge. Or known as the highest perfectional stage of knowledge. So to attain this knowledge, one has to control his senses. One who has to gauge in the regulated principles And this way, by doing this, one could come to the platform of knowledge, and by knowledge and devotion, one could become free from the clutches of Maya, the illusionary energy. So this process is not simply a matter of simply reading books to get it. Just like if you want to become a medical doctor, you can't simply read a book about it. You have to go to the medical academy and learn. So similarly, it's not simply a matter of reading a book. You have to follow the process. You have to follow the regulator principles. In this way, gradually, step by step, one can attain perfection. So this perfection is attained by Krishna, by the spiritual master. The spiritual master is the external manifestation of the super soul. So Krishna instructs us within and without. He's seated within our heart. It's compared in the Upanishads that they're like two birds on the same tree, and we are compared to the eating bird, and Krishna is compared to the witness. So he's witnessing our activities, and when he sees that we are constantly hearing about him, then he who is our well-wishing friend purifies us, and by that purification we can understand transcendental knowledge, and this way advance in spiritual life. So this hearing is the easiest process. It's the topmost process in devotional service. There's 9 processes of devotional service: hearing, chanting, remembering, worshiping, like that. And this hearing is the most important. And by hearing about Krishna will purge the heart from all misgivings, simply by hearing the holy name of the Lord, hearing about his pastimes. So Krishna is non-different. He's non-different from his form, his pastimes, his qualities, his paraphernalia. But one cannot actually understand this unless one is a devotee in the disciplic succession. Otherwise, this is very difficult to understand. So Krishna's pastimes, he appears in this material world by his inconceivable potency. He appears in his own original form, and he performs his pastimes, which are replicas of his pastimes in the spiritual abode. So by hearing of these pastimes, which are given in the Vedic literatures, and which are given to us by the spiritual master, then we purify our heart. So these pastimes, the devotee is always thinking of Krishna, always thinking about his pastimes, always thinking of his name, his quality, his form, in all conditions of life, whether he's asleep or awake. He's always thinking of Krishna's name, his form, his qualities, and pastimes. And so these pastimes are mentioned throughout the Vedic literature. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we have so many pastimes of Krishna, such as from the beginning of his pastimes, where he kills Putana, up until the destruction of his family, the Yadu dynasty. So there's so many pastimes of Krishna, and not only Srimad Bhagavatam, but also the spiritual master gives us other pastimes also, just like Rupa Goswami in the Nectar Devotion. He elaborates further on various pastimes that are given in Srimad Bhagavatam, just like the Kaliya serpent. When the Kaliya serpent was there, Krishna jumped into the lake to attack the Kaliya serpent. And the cowherd boys were so perturbed when they saw this that the colors of their bodies faded. And they started producing a horrible gurgling sound. And when Krishna was fighting with Kaliya, Kaliya serpent bit him on the calf. So in this way, the further pastimes are given by the acharyas. And after that, there was a forest fire after the Kaliya serpent. Also, there's in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's two mentions of a forest fire. Once after the Kaliya serpent was defeated by Krishna, and another time in the 19th chapter, a description of a forest fire that happened in the forest. And Srila Rupa Goswami explains, it seems to be after the forest fire with Kaliya, that after during that forest fire, the cowherd boys when there was a forest fire, they neglected their own protection, and they surrounded Krishna on all sides to protect him against the flames. So in this way, these pastimes are given. But when getting information from the spiritual master, we should be careful that we don't deviate and hear from that which is unauthorized. Just like Srila Prabhupada mentions about the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, he states that we hear these pastimes from authorized sources like the Valmiki Ramayana. But he also mentions in so many words that the other Ramayanas, such as the Ramayana by Tulsidas, is not acceptable. So in that book, in the Valmiki Ramayana, for example, there's in the Tulsi Ramayana, there's a mention of when Ramachandra went to catch the deer for Sita, that he left his brother Bharat there, or Lord Lakshman there, to protect Sita. But then he was, but then later on he had to go and help Ramachandra. So it stated in the Tulsi Ramayana that he made a circle around Mother Sita, but to protect her. But if we look at the Valmiki Ramayana, that this is not mentioned. So in this way, we should be very careful that we hear things from the authorized sources, and which are mentioned by the acharyas. So these pastimes of Krishna, the instructions of Krishna, are just like nectar. And those who are intelligent, they want to accept this nectar. But those who are the foolish materialists, the gross rascals, they are simply want to hear about sense gratification. They have no time for hearing about transcendental subject matters. And such fruitive workers are compared to the pigs who simply are searching for where is stool. That's their occupation. They do not care for the sweetmeats that are made out of ghee and sugar. They simply want to go after nasty things. But the devotees, they simply want to hear about Krishna. They are compared to swans who simply want to swim in the lakes which are full of lotus flowers. Whereas the materialists, they are like crows who want to simply to pick up that which is found in the garbage heaps. So Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he's independent. He's independent because he is independent from any control from anyone. He's completely independent. God could be summed up in 5 words. Krishna is the supreme controller. Simply 5 words. So he's controlling everyone. He's controlling everyone, but everyone besides Krishna is dependent on him. He is not dependent on anyone, but he voluntarily accepts accept obligations from his devotees who offer loving service unto him. This is his voluntarily accepting obligations from his devotees. So our independence, we have some minute independence, and that independence is there to either choose Krishna or to choose Maya. And Krishna will never take that away, otherwise there's no meaning to independence. We're simply like a dead stone, like a machine. We can't choose whether to accept or reject Krishna, so that there's no consciousness there, there's no awareness there. So independence is there, but the problem is we are misusing our independence, and therefore we are unhappy. We're unhappy in this material world because of misusing our independence. But if we agree to accept our dependence upon Krishna, then we will actually be happy. Otherwise, there's no possibility of becoming happy in this material world. So, real independence means, for us, real independence means to have complete faith in Krishna, and to have complete faith in him, to have complete faith and be dependent upon him, and to have no dependence upon the material energy, upon the conditions of matter. So we could stop there. Are there any questions on any of these points? Is that Brigupati?
Very nice class. You mentioned that there was 2 Ramayanas, one by Valmiki, and who was the other one by?
Well, there's various Ramayans. We have even a Ramayana in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and you could say that's a Ramayana about the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. But there's 2 famous ones, the Valmiki Ramayana, of course, and the one by Tulsidas. It probably mentions the name of it. I forget the name, Sanskrit name, but it's mentioned in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. He mentions that in there, and he also mentions that the author of this book has propagated or mentioned the birth of Brahmana by birthright, this false notion of Brahmana by birthright. So he condemns it like that, and he mentions other things about it. well, how it's not, favorable like that for Krishna consciousness.
So the author's name is Tulsi Das. Does that sort of indicate that he's a servant of Tulsi?
Well, that's his name. I don't know why he got that name. Just like, why did we get our names? Why did Valmiki get his name? I haven't read anything about why he got his name, but he's the author, Tulsi Das, and I think it was originally written in Hindi, or it's a famous book that's in Hindi. But Prabhupada said we don't, anyway, he didn't refer to that book as an authorized book.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions, any of these points? Okay, thank you very much. All glory to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga.